is a real challenge. Playing Thursdays and Sundays is a real challenge in terms of recovery, in terms of preparation and rotation. It's been through like that all season, and with all the restrictions, injuries, COVID regulation that we had even more. But now it's about winning football matches. At the end of the season, you know that we want to get a good run if we want to progress in the Premier League. So the priority now is Sunday. Forget about put the semi-finals behind us. We have 2 big games to play now at home, and we have to do the best to win it, because if we do that, the season will start to look a little bit different. In my opinion, they've been really unlucky with some results. I started to watch them a few days back, and I really like the way Scott sets his team up. He's really brave. They know what to do really well, and again, I think they had some very unfair results that could have put the team in a different position. And they're gonna come here to do what they always do, and it will be difficult.
We need to win some football matches. That's the facts. And for large parts this year, I've always sat here and said I focus on ourselves. Of course, we're getting to that point where now maybe you're looking elsewhere as well, hoping that some other teams can slip up along the way. But as always, if you're not going to win football matches or you don't win enough, you're always going to be in trouble. And that's where we are really. So one main focus, which is us, let's go and win this game. Let's try and win this game on Sunday. Let's go to the Emirates, put on a very good performance, a good display all round. But ultimately, what we need to do is try and get a result.
All right, we've heard from both of the managers, and now it's time to hear from you. Arsenal against Fulham is our game in focus for our Friday fan forum, with Robbie and the guys ready to answer your questions. So, as ever, use the hashtag PLFans to get in touch on social media and send in your questions and videos for your chance to speak with our panel of experts. I said experts this week, Robbie.
And Robbie.
Oh, and Robbie! See, I was trying to be nice to you there. Right, every week we'll be answering
how was that nice? And Robbie. So I'm not an expert.
I didn't read that bit.
Oh, thanks.
So, yeah, send those in to us. First up this week, we've got Mpum from South Africa, who's an Arsenal fan.
Do we take the Premier League as a #1 priority? Do we start playing a weaker side for the Premier League and putting all our focus on the Europa League? Because in all honesty, as it stands, we probably won't even make Europa for next season, looking at this year's current log standings, the season's current log standings actually. So yeah, that's my question.
Ever the pessimist Arsenal fans, aren't they? But probably
question.
being realistic there. What do you think?
Great question. I think the win against Slavia Prague, semi-final against Villarreal, Emery against Arteta. I think Arsenal have got to win the Europa League.
Yeah,
Again, Champions League football.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually surprised at that question, because as an Arsenal fan, if I'm Arsenal fan and I believe that Arsenal belong in top 4 or challenging for the league, and I want them to compete in every single.
But they're not going to get there, are they? They're not going to get there.
They have to. How are you going to?
The only way they're getting that next year is by winning the Europa League.
Yeah, but how are you going to implement the winning mentality in that club, in the fans, in the players, in the manager? If you start weakening your side in the Premier League, then he's going to be in Europe. And I've had the experience. We've done it because of the top 4. If you remember Aston Villa. Yeah. Matt O'Neill rested 9 players. He didn't take us to European journey. He took all the young boys. We never won a game for 3 months.
Wow.
So sometimes that could play...
For the momentum,
exactly. Sure. If you have a team who is willing to fight in every single front, League, Cup, European journeys, then you've got winning mentality. Then everybody around the club, not just players and people around the club, but fans as well will be, we're going for everything. This is the mentality you have to have. Now you start separating what is important, what is not important. Okay? What's happening if you go to the final, you don't win it? Yeah? Yeah? And then you can't qualify for Europe as well. You fail with everything. But if you have that mentality of, we're going to go for everything, and a lot of big manager, they'll play the strongest side in every single competition.
Pep does usually, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does. I mean, Arteta will rotate a little bit, but there's a difference between rotation and having an under-23 side in every single Premier League game between now and the end of the season. But of course, he will manage the fitness. He's got all the GPS stats and everything from training, from matches. So he can tell that someone is tired, can only play an hour or start on the bench, etc. But playing a weaker side, I don't think so.
So on the Saturday, just say the game's on a Saturday before they play Villarreal. do you think we'll see the same team that starts in the Premier League to the same team that starts against Villarreal?
I think you see three changes.
Which will be the stronger side?
The Europa League for sure, that semi-final first leg. But then, for example, you could play Lacazette on the bench because he would start against Villarreal and play Aubameyang central. You see, maybe Saka could have a rest, Smith Rowe could have a rest, you still have Odegaard, you still have good players on the bench or can come up from the bench and still have a very decent team, even if you rest the players who you will start in the Europa League.
Yes, and you've seen, you just touched on Pep Guardiola. This Pep Guardiola, he will only change one or two. He will always keep the core players in because they need that fitness, that mentality, that performances to do it consistently. And players, the big players, they know they're prepared to do 65, 70 games a season. International, European games, league games, cup games. If you want to be successful, that's the way to go. And that's what it's Mikel Arteta talking about. The winning mentality, changing the mentality of Arsenal players. He wants to bring the mentality when he was there, when Arsene Wenger was there. And to do that, you've never seen Arsene Wenger making that many changes. Yeah? He was going for it because he knew the consistency is important.
Yeah, you mentioned Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang there as well. We all, of course, wish him a speedy recovery as he recovers from illness at the moment. Right, up next, we can hear from Russ from the USA, who's a Fulham fan worried about relegation.
Here is my question. I'm challenging Scott Parker to change everything that he does for the rest of the season, meaning change your formation, change your approach. My question, guys, is will he go aggressive against Arsenal and the opponents moving forward? Go 4-4-2, play two up front, go aggressive. My question is, do you think that is the right approach moving forward?
Is it the right approach?
Is it the right approach, Dan?
No, I want you to answer that. You go first, I'll follow.
I'm not going to question what Scott Parker's done. I think at the start of the season, we all would have said Fulham will go down. They can see goals. He's changed the philosophy, changed the mentality, give themselves a fighting chance of staying up. If West Brom win their game in hand, they go above Fulham.
Yeah.
You know, that is the big thing. But they've drawn too many games. You know, when is the point where you think, I watched Porto against Chelsea in the Champions League quarter-final. Porto never went for it, and then they won the game with a fantastic goal from Tarami, but it was too late. They didn't go for it. Watch Granada last night against Manchester United. They had a goal, but lost the game. Fulham, Scott Parker trains with those players every single day. He knows the capability, you know, how fit they are, the red zone. You know, he'll know the best than any of us sitting on that sofa what approach they've got to take against Arsenal to win the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's the most important thing is knowing the strength of your teams. And if you ask the fans at the start of the season, if that was Fulham from the start of the season, you're still going to have a chance to survive this season. And you're 6 points off it, 8 games, well, will you take it? Everybody would have gone it. And I think so. I'm actually a big admirer of Scott Parker. I love the way he presents himself. He's calm, he controls his players. Don't forget, he's got 6 loan players, which makes it even more difficult. I mean, me as a manager, would you question the loan players, how dedicated you are, how much they give you? Would they willing to give everything they can to stay in next season? This is important to questions as well. Will he risk it? If he risk it, they've been conceding a lot of goals. That means if he goes more creative, if he puts more forward, he weaken himself at the back as well, which has been a problem for them for the most of the season.
Have they lost that opportunity to keep that momentum going when they went on that decent run where they were picking up a few points, as Robbie's pointed out, too many draws, but still they had that momentum over
Anfield, didn't they?
Yeah, over those teams around them. Do you feel like they've just lost it?
And we see the result, and especially after that win at Liverpool. And then City was always going to be hard, but after City, you thought, okay, of Leeds and Aston Villa without Jack Grealish, for example, and Wolves, who we mentioned in struggle. That Wolves game and that last-minute goal from Adama, I think, would have hurt them massively because they could have won that game or at least taken a point. That could have made a big difference. I was a bit surprised Josh Maja didn't start in that game, but what I wanted to say on the question, you can play with 4 strikers and not win the game. It's not because you add strikers that you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Start by not conceding first, and then you will create chances. But I think Scott Parker will try to make them more solid because we saw they conceded a few goals and few chances against Leeds, especially, and Aston Villa. And then after that, maybe he will, for the last half hour, try something a bit different. But you shouldn't just go all guns blazing just because you need to come back on.
Against Aston Villa, for 65 minutes, they controlled the game.
They
They
were
were on the top of it. They had a couple of chances. They could have scored. They had to make a couple of chances. No, because the team was playing well. And all of a sudden, in the space of 5 minutes, everything has changed. And this is where the fine balance is between the managers down the bottom. And people forget about that. Scott Parker, that will be his first time in that kind of situation. Yeah. He had the success of coming up, the excitement, and just being. What some managers have to do is just motivate the team to just stay up, which is very difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult to push to something to just be consistent, and they haven't been consistent. That's where the problem has been. But he's got the opportunity, and he has the players.
Yeah. All right, thank you for all your questions this week. We're going to be seeing your predictions for that one in the final part of the show. We'll get the boys as well. That's coming up for you after the break.